now. And I'm studying criminology, social welfare, and political science at Marquette. So if all the other panelists could also go ahead and introduce themselves, just tell us like your name, the high school you came from, your college, and your major. But yeah, go ahead.
I guess I could go. My name is Maliwan. I graduated from East High School. Currently, I'm at UW Madison at the School of Nursing.
Thank you.
I can go next. My name is Mati.
I could go next.
Okay.
Matita,
Okay.
do you want to go?
Sure. My name is Matita. I graduated from Memorial High School in 2017, and I am studying biochemistry at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and it is my last year. And I will be going to medical school after that.
Great. And then Jason, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, my name is Jason Garcia. I came from West High School. I'm a business major at MATC. So, yeah.
I guess I go next. My name is Eduardo Castillo. I went to La Follette High School. I am majoring in human resources and currently go to UW Milwaukee.
Thank you. Is there anyone else left to go? Raya, would you like to go?
Yeah. What exactly are we saying?
Yeah, can you just share the high school that you went to, where you're currently studying, your major?
I went to school at James Madison Memorial High School. I'm currently at Alcorn State University, pursuing a psychology degree.
Thank you. That's great. So just jumping straight into the questions, I think this semester has been really different for all of us, especially with this pandemic. How do you think your life has changed during this pandemic and school-wise? If anybody doesn't mind sharing that.
I can go first. Personally, my life has changed dramatically due to COVID, especially educationally. So this past semester, or in previous semester, I went completely virtual, which was a struggle to me, but not that big of a struggle because it was my first time having all online classes. It was just having online classes, it was just my first time having all online classes. So that was kind of like a big thing to get used to. And then I'm kind of used to gaining a relationship with my teachers. So with virtual classes, it kind of made it more difficult to gain a relationship. But with emails and webcams, I kind of was able, but not as good as I would have liked to if I was able to have a face-to-face class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I asked that question because I just got my grades back yesterday and I did a lot better than I was expecting. And so I don't know, maybe that was online, maybe it wasn't online. But does anybody else have any experience with like the online education that we've had to do this semester?
Yeah, so for me, at first it was challenging, but I think over time I was able to kind of adapt and get used to it. I will say that I think that it has resulted in me kind of lacking motivation, but I'm also a senior and I got into med school, so I'm kind of like, I'm ready to go. So, but at first it was hard just kind of navigating things. I had never taken an online class before, so it was hard navigating things and not being able to have live instruction. So a lot of my lectures were just recorded. So not being given the opportunity to ask questions during lectures was a bit difficult, but again, I'm still doing fine though. But yeah, I was able to get used to it after some time.
So for me, I'm a nursing student, and so our nursing school still had part in class just because you can't really pass off clinical as online. You needed that hands-on. And so for our clinical, we were held back a couple weeks because of the rises in cases at UW-Madison. And so it was frustrating that we couldn't get immediately into the hospitals, but we did manage to get some time into hospitals. It was very interesting to see how hospitals are dealing with COVID because we were helping the nurse, and even so, we couldn't care for people who were COVID positive. It was just kind of nerve wracking though to be at the hospitals. And then I think it was just reassuring to take our COVID test weekly in order to be able to participate at the hospitals. I feel like this semester, because everything was online, some teachers say like, hey, because everything's online, here's some extra work you could do.
Yeah.
And so it was frustrating when some teachers are trying to pack in more stuff than what they would traditionally do in like a regular in-person class.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think it was a big change for all of us. But if someone else wants to share, that's great. Or we can move on to the next question. Okay,
For me, well, I would like to share.
go ahead.
For me, I had a lot of struggles and I had a lot of victories. Like I managed to be able to do well in most of my classes, but there were certain aspects that like I just couldn't get over. For example, my math class, I just couldn't figure out how to do online math this semester, so I had to drop it. But like for my econ or like my I don't know, business ethics classes, like it went good. I was able to adapt, but there were definitely some, you know, struggles here and there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so obviously with like the current pandemic, a lot of our graduating high school seniors don't really know what they're getting themselves into going into college, as we really didn't. So what advice would you give to them about entering their freshman year of college in such a crazy time?
Ooh. Uh, I personally would 100% reach out to all of your teachers and TAs and set up office hours, virtual office hours, because they will come in handy when you're trying to build those relationships. Because this year, I couldn't really go in for office hours, and that's like the biggest aspect on why I was struggling a lot more than I did last semester. So, yeah.
I totally agree with you. Take advantage of those office hours and don't forget that you are still young. I know my freshman year, I was so wrapped up into like trying to be great and get everything right or be cool that I kind of forgot about myself in a way, like my health. And there were days where like I would barely eat because I was so focused on studying and then trying to get to this get together with friends and then trying to get back to studying because this assignment. So you just have to remember to like really prioritize your time. And well, for me, the way I do that is planners. I love planners. I don't know if you guys still use planners, but unlike high school, you don't get a planner at a university. I know mine didn't. So you have to like buy one, but they still come in handy, really. But like prioritizing your time and using those virtual office hours.
100% agree with that one. Love my planner.
No, I completely agree with both of you guys. I also use planners a lot. I like using electronic planners, so I don't actually go in and buy one. I also work full time, so I get very busy with meetings and stuff. So using my Outlook calendar or Google Calendar to organize all of my meetings is really nice. So I definitely suggest using something like that to prioritize your time. And I most definitely agree with going in for office hours. I think that even if classes are back to being in person, you should absolutely take advantage of going to office hours, especially if you're interested in going to graduate school or going to professional school. A lot of the time you will need letters of recommendations for those, even for some scholarships. So just making sure that you're building those meaningful relationships with your professors and teachers is really important. And it's really important to do those at an early stage.
Yeah, I agree. I think just to chip in, I would add, you are really young your freshman and sophomore year. you don't know everything, and that's okay. I don't think I got into like the swing of things till maybe my junior year, where I'm like, I felt very confident in how I planned my things and how I planned my day. Um, it's definitely about time management. So that's what I would recommend to students. Um, did we get some new people joining us? Or no? Never mind.
Another thing I would add, I'm sorry to cut you off,
No, you're good.
but another thing I would add is to really get to know your building, even though you possibly won't probably have a class there. Knowing the buildings around your campus is like probably like one of the best things for a student, regardless if you're going to be in there or not. Because I know I never had to be in the IT building, but being able to know where it was, I was able to help other students or go there when I needed a reference for anything regarding from the IT building. So like, I don't know, that's a good advice.
No, that's great. Yeah, I didn't learn that we had like a digital media lab to like my late in my sophomore year, and it's like actually a great study space and like just discovering those new places. So Ria, right? That's how you're saying your name,
It's right.
right? Okay, sorry. You go to an HBCU. Do you mind talking about that experience?
Yeah. I go to an HBCU. For the ones who don't know what that is, that's an historically Black college university. Going there for me was probably the best thing as an African American student, because I became kind of a majority in a way, and I got a big culture shock. So coming from Madison, Wisconsin, where culturally I'm a lot different from a lot of my peers or people around me in general, and to go to a school where like I'm culturally the same as the people in my classroom, we dress the same, we have the same music taste, we have the same food taste, like everything was literally just like a shock and opening eye to me. I don't know how to really explain it, but I would never trade it for the world. And that's not to say that like only African Americans go to HBCUs, because we do have international students and other races as well. But as an African American, I feel that HBCUs are good because you not only get your education, but you get life lessons. And that's all what college is about. College is like that forefront of starting your life. It's like that area of still getting your feet warm, but literally putting your feet in the fire to start walking. So being around things that you are comfortable with made it way more better to me. So I wouldn't trade it for the world.
So jumping into one of our next questions, and anyone can answer, but if you want to keep answering, that's fine too. Can you tell us how did you make your decision to attend the university you're currently at? And that's for any of the students on here.
I guess I could go first. I was debating on going to Chicago or UW Milwaukee, and my decision came down to be because of my job. I work for Summit Credit Union, and I was in a high school intern teller. So they basically just transferred me from the Madison branches to the Milwaukee branches. And then I really didn't have to worry about getting a job down in Milwaukee. So kind of just made sense for me.
Mm-hmm.
I guess for me, I was debating between Edgewood and UW-Madison because I wanted to go into nursing. Edgewood had accepted me directly into the nursing program, but at UW-Madison, I was with people program, so I would get the 4-year tuition pay for the people program. And so it's just debating on whether I want to go directly into the nursing program or compete for the nursing program at UW-Madison. And it was a really time crunch for me, but ultimately I picked UW-Madison just because I knew the campus already. It was closer to home. I would have friends that attended and people I would know. So really, I just wanted to like keep some of the people I know because I know I'm sort of an introvert, so I'm not really good at making friends. So just having some familiar face on campus for the first couple years really made me feel like I didn't stand out that much, make me fit in a little more.
Yeah, I definitely feel that.
So when I was in high school, my dream was to go to UW Madison. But unfortunately, I was not the best high school student. I did not do that well in my classes. I think until I joined Avid, actually. That's when I really started improving. But anyway, I didn't have the grades, didn't have the ACT score to get into UW Madison, so I didn't. But when I had visited UW Milwaukee during one of our trips, I really fell in love with the fact that not only was it one of the more diverse campuses or schools in Wisconsin, but they also had lots of research opportunities, which is something that I knew that I wanted to do when I got to college. And they were, besides UW Madison, they were the other school that had a biochemistry option. So UW Milwaukee was on top of my list. So I'm definitely very glad that I went there. I have no regrets, and I think that things worked out the way they were supposed to. I've been able to take advantage of every opportunity really that came my way, and I'm just so grateful for my faculty and friends and support system that I have there. And I do not regret going there, and I'm very glad that it worked out the way it did.
Mhm. And now you're gonna be a doctor.
Very soon.
Did anybody else want to share on this question?
With me, my story is kind of similar to Matita's. I really wasn't doing that well either. Not bad, but I didn't really improve until Abbott. And when it came to apply for universities, I let my fear get to me. I was a part of a club called Black Student Union, and we went on annual historically Black college university tours every spring break. And I saw Spelman, Alcorn, and many other HBCUs. And I knew Spelman would be the school for me. You could not tell me Spelman was not my school. I had shirts, I had bags, sweatsuits, hats. I had everything Spelman. But when it came time to apply, I let the fear of my grades and my ACT really get to me and did not apply. So I can't even say I didn't get in. I just did not apply. But after thinking about all the other tours that I went on, I remember the family-oriented feeling that I got from Alcorn, and how, one, it was away from home, which was one of the things on my list. Two, it was an HBCU, which was another thing on my list. And three, I knew I could get in. So I went with that one. It was like one of my top ones, got in, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I honestly can thank my school for literally the way I am today. I don't know if you guys know about Alcorn, but it is in the middle of nowhere. Literally. My school is probably 45 minutes from Civilization. Our closest Walmart is about 45 to 50 minutes away. Everything else is just trees and road. So to like know that I was coming there from like a little city area was just magnificent to me, and I wouldn't trade it at all. So yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. So some of you have mentioned how you feel like Avid really prepared you for your college experience. Can you guys elaborate on that? Maybe share some more. How do you feel like Avid's been there for you, maybe during high school and during college?
Can I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
So for me, Avid, I wasn't, so like I kind of have to pay for college for myself, because my parents don't have the financial resources for me. And I was gonna go to college, and then through Avid, through my Avid teacher, she told me like just go to MTC, do this and that. And yeah, she really inspired me to go to college, and that's really the only reason that I'm in college right now, because my Avid teacher and my Avid classmates told me to go. And honestly, it's been the best decision for me. And yeah, so Avid really put me where I am today, and I'm thankful for that.
I'm so glad to hear that. Anybody else like to share?
Me, I really love that all the teachers were very motivating during high school, and all the classmates. You can't really find that same, how do you say, same family feel when you're in college. It's hard to create that family feel in the classroom when everybody just there to learn. And some people like me, after class is done, I get up and I leave and I go to my next class. So I really appreciate that family feeling that I had in high school with all my classmates. I still keep up with some of my classmates from high school and into college. I really like the checkup by the college coach. And it was just nice to have someone to talk with to see how I'm progressing in school.
Yeah, I can reflect on my experiences too. So I joined AVID, I think the second semester or second quarter or something like that, during high school. And at the time, so I come from a family where neither of my parents graduated from high school. And I just honestly assumed that you go straight from high school to college, kind of like you do with middle school. You don't really have to apply for anything, like you just do it. So prior to joining Avid, I barely knew anything about college. I didn't know what a major was. I didn't know any of that information. So when I joined Avid, I had this really great support system. And so I joined Avid because my Avid coordinator actually was my health teacher. And I think he saw potential in me and saw things in me that I didn't see in myself. And I think he just saw someone that was kind of lost and lacked a little bit of motivation. So he told me to join and I did. And I think through Avid, I was really able to find motivation and find my purpose in life and figure out what it really was that I wanted to do in life. I remember I did the career, I did the Hope program, which really showed me that I did want to do something in healthcare, something in medicine. And I did many internships and stuff that I think really opened my eyes to different fields. And I think that having our coaches check in on us and to just make sure that we're okay, that's just an additional support system and an additional resource they provide to us, even though they don't have to. So I'm definitely very grateful for that. And I think because of Avid, I was, again, able to find my purpose and able to really figure out what it was that I wanted in life. And I've been able to do very well in college. So I'm definitely very grateful for them for that.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and share too. So one thing that I realized in college was how like alone you are. In high school, you have a teacher and then you have whoever's like above them, and like there's always constantly someone there pushing you. And I think that's what I kind of fell off in college. But thinking back to like how all those people put so much effort in me really helped me remember where my motivation came from and like why I was doing all of this, which is something that I'm really grateful for Avid for, because I think I would have gotten into college, but I don't think I would have understood the resources that were available for me to succeed in college, which is something that I'm grateful for. So moving on to one of the next questions. So how have your plans or plans to study / career changed since you've left high school?
I can start. So when I was in high school, again, I've always been interested in doing something in healthcare. I wasn't sure exactly what, but again, being lazy, lacking motivation, I was like, you know what? I think I knew in my heart that I always wanted to be a doctor, but I think I had doubts. I had doubts that I wasn't smart enough and that it took too long to get there. So I was like, you know what? I'll do pharmacy. Pharmacy seems a little easier and I'll make money faster. So when I went to college, chose to major in biochem, and my plan was to go to pharmacy school. And I actually started studying for that. I almost studied for the PCAT, almost bought a $400 book. And I started writing my personal statement for pharmacy school. And I was like, I don't know why I want to be a pharmacist. Like I have no motivation for this. And then it really came back to me and I was like, you know what, being a doctor is what you're passionate about. That's your calling. Like, why are you having so many doubts? Like, why are you doubting yourself? So I chose to change to pre-med back in January of 2019. So not too long ago. And I'm honestly very grateful again. Like I remember I talked to my TOPS coordinator about it. I talked to my other support systems at UW Milwaukee about my decision to change from pre-pharm to pre-med, and ultimately we just all came to the conclusion that medicine is what I'm truly passionate about, and that I should follow my heart. And I knew I could do it, but I just doubted myself. I do that a lot.
Yeah. I don't mind sharing either for this one. So I actually went into college wanting to study political science, like that be my main major. And then I took my first political science class, which was like international affairs, and I realized that I did not like that. It was a lot like military and war based. So then I changed my major to criminology and social welfare, and then added political science as a minor, and that was all because I guess like my end goal is to like maybe one day do something in policy making. At first though, I thought that I wanted to go to law school, started studying for the LSAT this summer, realized that wasn't for me. um, and so I think that's what college is mostly about, just figuring out that there's so much time left in our lives that we can literally do anything as long as we put our minds to it.
I guess I could talk. I went into college wanting to be a nurse, and I'm still in the nursing route. It's just halfway through, I realized that I wasn't doing as well in college as I thought I was. I was completing all the courses, but my grades wasn't that good for all the courses, so I ended up not meeting the requirement to apply for nursing school twice. And so it was 2 years behind. And I felt like that at that point I was very lost because I didn't have a plan B. I thought about it, but I never really actually implemented any of my plan B. And so I got really worried and frustrated because all the people from my year was graduating in 4 years. And here I am at like my fourth year applying to the nursing school. But I did actually apply to nursing school and to social work because I was thinking, well, if I didn't get the medical treatments that I could do in nursing, at least I could do the preventative part of medicine with being a social worker. But I guess I'm still at nursing because I love to learn about the human body. So I will be finishing my bachelor degree in 6 years instead of the traditional 4 years. And I feel disappointed somewhat, but I'm so very happy that at the end I'm so able to achieve something that I will like to do in the future.
I guess for me, I leaving high school, I knew I wanted to do something in business. I originally had the mindset of going in for marketing, but then I realized that A, I don't like doing sales, but B, I do love talking to people, which then kind of guided me towards human resources because you get to not only talk to people, recruit people for companies and other businesses, but you get to know them on a different level, and you get to just um, help them guide their career in different directions throughout the organization that they work for.
Thank you all so much for sharing. So moving on to another question is, um, can you describe a success or something that you feel proud of as a college student?
I can go first. In high school, I was really involved in different organizations and clubs. So going into college, my first priority was to get involved and get acclimated to the school environment. And I got on two different board positions within one of them is called American Marketing Association. And I'm just like basically recruiting people to join the club. And then the second one is UWM TEDx, which is basically a big group of you guys know what TEDx videos are, right? Um, it's just I get to set up events and bring speakers in to talk for the university.
That's really cool, actually. What kind of videos have you done?
So we were supposed to have a spring conference early March, but then COVID kind of hit. But last fall, we had a fall salon, and it was about environmental consciousness and how to like improve your lifestyle to be more environmentally friendly. And usually all of our speakers are Milwaukee community members. So that's the really cool part.
I
I can go next. So I started a nonprofit about 4 months ago. And I started that in response to the growing issue of maternal mortality in Gambia, which is where I was born and raised. And I have always been passionate about women's health. And I think that is one of the reasons why I'm actually going into medicine. I think that I want to specialize in obstetrics and gynecology. But I thought to myself, you know what, why not start doing something on a smaller scale? And not wait until I'm a doctor to actually start doing something. So that's something that I started, and it's been doing very well. And I will say that's probably my proudest accomplishment so far. Okay, sorry, someone called me. I don't know if you guys heard that, but that's it.
That's great.
I can go next. I actually had a lot of successes, I can say. Well, my 3 big ones. One, since my first semester of freshman year, I am now a senior. I have been on the dean's or president's list every semester. And dean's list is a 3.5 to a 3.99. President's list is a 4.0. So that's like, to me, like one of my biggest takeaways, because one, I was not a grade person in high school. I was horrible at tests, like horrible. But when I got to college, I like learned new ways and like met new people who taught me their ways. I got, those good grades, and it's like me. But another one, I lost tremendous weight. I know they tell you freshman 15, I got freshman negative 30, 40. I lost almost 150 pounds my college experience, which I am not complaining about, but it just proves that if you don't want to gain weight, it's not necessarily gonna happen, It's possible to lose weight in college. A lot of people tell you only gain weight, but it's possible to lose weight. And another one, I serve as the student intern coordinator for the career services and pre-professional programs at my school. So I help students with their grad school applications, resumes, cover letters. I help them find internships. I help them find employment after after graduate school, or I help them find employment after graduating. I help students apply to scholarship. It's many things I do, which is a big role, I would say, to me. So there's a lot of good takeaways.
Well, I'm really happy with all your accomplishments. I'm glad that you made the most out of your college experience.
Thank you.
Anybody else have to share?
I can also go next.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I had a similar experience as her. I was a really bad student in high school. I had I ended with like a 2.3, and so yeah, it was really bad. But in college, I flipped that narrative around, and now I've been on the dean's list for the past 2 semesters, and so yeah, that's something I'm really proud of, and it just shows that you can change even though you've been a bad student or this and that. It's possible to change. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Wow, I'm really happy for all you guys. I also made the dean's list for the first time this semester, so I'm really proud of myself, and I'm proud of all you too.
I want to add on to what everyone else is saying. As I mentioned before, I did not do great in high school. I think I graduated with a sub 3.0 GPA, and I've been able to do very well in college. I have a 3.97 right now, and I just want to tell people you can really change your life if you want to. I think it's just a matter of figuring out what you're good at and what you're not, and figuring out how to study and finding motivation and putting time aside and prioritizing your time. So if you did bad in high school, don't let that prevent you from doing something that you wanted to do. Like I said before, I thought that I couldn't do medicine because I thought it would be too hard for me because I didn't do good in high school. And in many ways, I actually think that college was easier for me than high school. I think that in college, I was able to figure out myself. I was able to figure out how to study. And I will say that also moving away from home kind of helped a lot. I think in high school, I had too much going on at home. So moving away and finding myself and being independent, I think really, really helped me as well. I think there's a question in the chat.
I just want to piggyback on.
Go ahead.
Oh, I totally agree that moving away is one of the best things you can choose for yourself, because you don't have that family, I want to say block, because I know people that just stayed at home and they're not really doing that great. And there's other people that do great, but it's a personal thing. I also wanted to add, now that everything's virtual, you have more free time more free time. So you just have to remember to just use your time wisely. Block out a couple hours to do studying for every class. Add, literally write down, I'm going to eat lunch at this time. I'm going to study at this time. I'm going to go for a run at this time. Because then you see that and then you process it, then you do it. Instead of putting it back in your head and saying you're going to do it, you're not going to do it. So, yeah.
So Shauna actually asked us, I don't know if you guys saw it, but it says, if you can talk about how you improved your grades in college, and was it easier in college and high school? And I think many of us mentioned it, but I went and grabbed it. Mine is my planner. My planner is literally my life and soul. I haven't been looking at it since I've gone on break, and I can already tell that I'm less productive. For me, I always look forward to buying my planner at the beginning of the year, always keeping it up to date and pretty. And that's just something that I do for myself, but it keeps me organized as well. And I think that's really helped my grades, just knowing when I got to do this, when I got to do this, and when I have free time, or else everything is free time and then you don't know how to manage your time. But someone would like to share their experience.
Going off of what you said, I pretty much do the same thing. I live with my planner. If I don't write it down, 9 times out of 10, it won't get done. Mm-hmm. So I have to do this, and I love to color coordinate my planner. So I have certain colors, it's completed, not completed, needs to be completed, urgent, needs to be completed. So that's kind of how I did it. And I mentioned before, when I said I got the grades, I just learned from other people. So in high school, I didn't know how to study. Although Avid taught me with the Cornell notes, I still struggled because I was I'm just reading here, But when you get to college, you are able to take classes that you enjoy and you're interested in. So it kind of piques your interest better to retain the information better. I don't know about you. I know that when I enjoy something better, I kind of do better at it. Mm-hmm. And I kind of do that with class. So when I enjoyed my peers, I was able to learn with them better. And when I was learning with them better, I was learning more, which kind of piggybacked off on my grades. Or I also used, I don't know if your your university has it or not, but I used my writing center so much my freshman year. I was a horrible writer, but because of my writing center help, I was able to really improve my writing skills that I was offered a job there actually, that I'm now helping students with their writing. So I really would say I took advantage of all of the resources my school gave me, which was very important.
I can share next. I'm sorry. You want to go? You can go.
You can go.
Okay, I'll go. I think Raye's advice was great. Take advantage of all of the different resources that are at your school. There are so many resources, from YouTube videos to the writing centers at your school there are just so many resources. Your colleges, they have money and they have these resources in place for you. And a lot of the time they're free. They have tutors for you and they have various other resources there for you too. So take full advantage of them. But something that I think really worked for me as a STEM major was reading before lecture. So for my chemistry class, I remember my freshman year, first semester, I got an A- in Chem 1, in Gen Chem 1. And funny enough, I was actually very unhappy about that. Coming from someone who graduated with a 2-point-something in high school, I was very unhappy with that. And I was like, okay, this can't happen. So then I was like, you know what? I think the issue is that the professors are going a little too fast. And when I'm writing, I'm not really paying attention to what they're saying. I'm just focused on writing. And I think that a lot of you guys will find that your professors, the lectures go really fast. I mean, they have to, they only have like an hour, 15 minutes. So they have to go fast. And it can be really hard to catch up with them. And if you're too busy writing and not listening to them, then are you really absorbing any information? So the way I solved that problem was reading before a lecture and taking notes before a lecture. And I can tell you that that made a huge difference. And after that semester, I was just getting 4.0 after one 4.0 after the other. So I really suggest that you do that, especially if you're a STEM major. I'm not sure if this method would work for every major, but read before a lecture if you can, so that you understand the information and that you can kind of work at your own pace and you can actually listen to what your professor is saying instead of rushing to write things down. So I definitely recommend that. And another method that I use to study is called spaced repetition, which has actually been shown to be the most effective way to study. So giving yourself time and rehearsing things over and over again and reading over things over and over again. You can also write things over and over again if you want, but doing things at a certain pace and giving yourself time to go back and review the stuff that you're not the best at. There are different apps and stuff that you can also use for this. But ultimately, I think it's up to you to figure out how you study. And as I said before, I think that college is easier than high school in many ways, but again, that may be different for some other people. I know people who did extremely well in high school and they're not doing super well in college. So it totally depends on you and how you take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you. But you know yourself better than anyone, so figure out what works best for you. Play with different things and see what studying method works for you and stick with that.
I totally agree with you. Sorry. Oh, sorry. I totally agree with you. Every person is different. You just have to learn your learning style. The one thing in high school, I was a decent student in high school and I'm still a decent student today. I like B average. But the one thing I took away from Avid was the TRFs and working in groups. That kind of helped me pick at the problems I'm looking at, especially in math and science, like pick and just keep asking questions till I get the answers. And I learned that I learn the best when I'm teaching other kids. So I usually tend to reach out to random students in my class and, hey, I know you don't know me, but I'm struggling with this problem. Can you help me or can we help each other? And then you build that relationship and then now you have somebody in class you can talk about these problems. And then it turns you just back and forth to one another. You bounce ideas and it's totally helps. So, yeah.
So I was going to comment on the notes that if your class provides PowerPoint, you should most likely look over the PowerPoint before class, just because some teacher goes really fast. And if you can, I like to print out the PowerPoint slides so that I could add additional notes that the teacher goes off of, because sometimes the teacher just runs their mouth and it's just really hard. You write one part and then you miss the part that the teacher was talking, and then now you're like, you got the previous part, but now you're missing a chunk of your notes and you don't know what's going on. And if you don't know how to study for a certain class, reach out to the teachers. I know a lot of teachers want to see kids, and a lot of teachers have office hours that they're required to have open for students. So take advantage of them, because even if you don't use them, the teacher's still gonna have that time opening no matter what. So it's just good to talk to the teacher. I know that I was struggling in my psychology class, and I went in and the teacher was teaching a whole class, a whole group of students how to study for the exam. And so you don't necessarily get singled out when you go to the teacher for help. It's nice to see other students there too. Always make friends in class.
Yeah, that's great advice. Always makes friends. You
I want-
always just text someone like, what was this note on? Go ahead, Eduardo.
I just wanted to add something. Teachers do go through presentations fast, but I learned that just stop them and tell them to re-explain it. Because if you're confused about that one thing, there's 100% chance that everybody else in that room did not catch whatever they were saying. So if they just re-explain it, you understand it a little bit better. You might feel weird because it may be a bigger like classroom, but at least you did it and now you know the information that they were talking about. But yeah.
But
And-
to add on that really quick, I'm so sorry. But to add on to that really quick, I agree with you. Also, with teachers' presentations, I know we're all saying that teachers' presentations go really fast, which is true. But most times teachers assign, or you get like a syllabus of like the entire semester that'll tell you like everything that your teacher's gonna do, or the week prior your teacher will tell you like, we're gonna discuss this, and she'll give you readings. Those readings are critical, because every time I've done a reading, I went in the presentation or the lecture knowing the information that my teacher was already telling me about. So while I was writing notes, I was only writing down key takeaways that my teacher would give us.
And as far as talking about, teachers going fast, sometimes I recorded my teachers on my phone. I think a lot of the times they're okay with it, but you can definitely record them on your phones. But luckily, you guys will be starting, well, I'm assuming most of you guys will be starting school virtually, maybe like a hybrid system, I don't know. But if you were to have classes in person, that's something that you can do. Although I guess some teachers might not be okay with that. But you can definitely record them and then listen to those lectures later. That's something that I did sometimes because they would go so fast.
On the topic of recording, just be sure to check with your professor, because I know at UW-Madison, there's like some teachers get very very strict about who can record it, and they mostly allow like students who have certain pass for, I guess, disability pass to record their class. But sometimes some class automatically get recorded and repost online. So you just gotta double check on that. And yeah, just make sure you double check with everything. Don't just randomly go record your professor, because if they do notice it, they won't be happy about it. And yeah, I think
On the topic of recording, sorry, my video lectures, I don't have to go to class at all. All of them are pre-recorded and in a file somewhere. This gets dangerous because you think that you could just postpone all of these lectures until the last minute. No, take that time class that was scheduled initially to watch those lectures, because I definitely haven't watched like 3 or 4 videos and I'm really behind right now. Just take the time to just watch those videos, even though they're pre-recorded, just do it. You're gonna feel better afterwards.
So we do have only about 10 minutes left. So I was wondering if we could each just say like a quick word of advice for students who will be entering college or currently undergrad students. And then we can see if there's any questions from the attendees, but if we can just quickly do that.
Attend tutoring.
You can do anything you put your mind to. Work hard. You know yourself better than anyone, but never give up. Never give up. You can do anything you set your mind to. I truly believe that.
I think you should keep exploring even in college. I know a lot of people change their majors just because they learned that their major isn't doing what they actually want to do. So keep exploring. You may find out that what your major isn't what you actually want to do. And so it's a continuous discovery of yourself.
I totally agree with everyone. And I would say, I know that we all gave you like our experiences, but when you go to college, try to make your own, because that was a problem of mine. I used like everyone else's experiences and try to forefront that there. College is the only thing that can get you prepared for college. I know you try everything in high school, but honestly, when you get there, everything is so different. You're on your own, no longer parents, no teachers telling you to come to class. So literally, you set your own experience, you set your own pace, you set your own tone. It's all about you. I feel like now is the time to know that being selfish is okay, because you're in your me period of time, me period of life, to get ready for everyone else.
Jason, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I was just thinking of which one to say. I guess I'll just say them both. I would say make meaningful connections with your professors because they will plug you. I've been plugged too many times not to say that. And also, for me, make a goal on what you want to do. Like, don't just go to college just to go to college and absorb like just this random information from everywhere from your classes. Like, if you know you want to be a doctor, work towards that. And yeah, just have a goal. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I want this specific job and I'm gonna do everything towards that. But like have it like, oh, I want to get a 3.0 GPA this semester or 4.0, whatever, and then work slowly towards that. I think it's really important to have a clear goal that you want to work towards and not just, just live,
Yeah. Thank you guys all for sharing. Ending with that, I would just say remember that you're young. We definitely have a lifetime ahead of us, God willing. So if we make mistakes right now, that's okay. If we graduate maybe with the wrong major, that's okay. There's many of things that we can do. And then I don't see any other questions in the chat.
I just wanted to add something real quick. Budget your money wisely.
Yeah.
Especially because you get a food plan if you live in the dorms, but once you start living by yourself or with roommates, you're gonna definitely be crunching on. You're just gonna be like struggling sometimes, and you just gotta know when and where, how to save better.
I just read the chat and it asked if we're able to be contacted, and yeah, I would say you guys can contact me. My email is rsdsteps@gmail.com. And if you're not that formal, you can also shoot me a text. I love texting. So my number is 608-216-1441. I am all down for questions or anything regarding college, HBCUs, resumes, cover letter, anything. Just reach out to me and I'm free to help. I love it.
Right, you should put that in the chat. And talking about money and budgeting and whatnot, I will say that it's easier to get scholarships when you're going into college than when you're already in college. So please apply to a bunch of scholarships when you're going into college instead of waiting until you're actually in college. From my personal experience, it's been harder. But there are definitely many scholarships out there that you can apply for. And I think you have a better chance at getting local scholarships than getting nationwide ones. So apply to your local ones that are in the state, in your city, in your county. Apply to those first.
Yeah, I would add to that, don't ever stop applying to scholarships. My freshman and sophomore year I had to pay, but since then I've been lucky enough to get, I haven't paid since my sophomore year, which is great. And I go to expensive school, so that's good. But passing it to Taylor, I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to mention, Taylor?
No, I don't. Well, just thank you all to our students, first of all, for joining us today, our top scholars. You're all amazing. We have like 1,000 plus amazing top scholars. So it's so cool to hear from you all and see you all. And I know that the students are really going to be excited. We have a lot of students who requested this recording. Secondly, I'll ask, I think Shona will be able to drop this in the chat. For those of you watching this recording or live, we do have an exit slip. We'd love your feedback on our guest speaker panels. We'd love any input that you might have. So if you're watching this on the recording, we'll make the exit slip available in the description. And if you're watching live, we'll drop it in the chat for you. Otherwise, thank you all for being here today and have a great day.
Thank you.